please stand. In New Haven, the union overwhelmingly approved a new teacher contract that allows new principals and turnaround schools to select their own staff, and an evaluation system that factors in student growth. Interestingly, one new provision empowers teachers to evaluate their principals. In Prince George's County, Maryland, the local union partnered on a performance pay program that is so popular, the local teachers did a video touting the benefits. PG County is now working with its union on school turnarounds to pull great teachers into the neediest schools. And in dozens of other cities, from Tampa to Pittsburgh to Denver to right here in D.C., union leaders and administrators are moving beyond the battles of the past and finding new ways to work together. And I urge union leaders, administrators, and school boards all across America to follow the example of their reform-minded colleagues and have a much more open mind towards common sense reforms. They have nothing to fear from charters or from incentive pay or from more thoughtful systems of teacher evaluation. The only real threat to them and the only real threat to all of us is academic failure. I also challenge reformers to stop blaming unions for all the problems in American education. If unions were the only problem, then in all of our right-to-work states and all of our charter schools, they'd be outperforming the nation. And we know that's not the case. That's the old frame. In the new frame, people are working together, and everyone is moving outside their comfort zones to give children a better chance in life. Real change is driven by people willing to give their lives for a cause. People like Dr. King, who I think about every single day. He never let up in his fight for justice and equality. When he sat in a Birmingham jail, his colleagues in the movement told him to slow down and to use the court system. His answer was very simple. We can't wait. Today, people can't wait. They're fed up with schools that don't work. They see pockets of success and remarkable excellence, and they ask, why doesn't that exist everywhere? And there's simply no reason why it can't. Recently, President Obama said that we can't rebuild our economy on the same pile of sand. Similarly, we can't rebuild our public education system on the same old system of rules and regulations. We have to change the rules, we have to eliminate the excuses, and we have to hold ourselves accountable. Great teachers and great principals all across America are producing miracles in the classroom every single day. They're doing society's most important work. They are the heroes of the quiet revolution. And our job is to fight for them, to empower them, and support them. That's why we're here. Thank you so much. Thank you. And before I take questions, we'd like to announce the finalists of our second round of the Race to the Top competition. We told you during Phase 1 that we were setting a high bar. Of the 41 applicants in Phase 1, there were 16 finalists, and all of them with scores of more than 400 points. In Phase 2, we have 19 states over 400, and the average score rose by 23 points. The improvement and reform we saw from states between rounds 1 and 2 was absolutely inspiring, and I know how hard that progress and work is. All 19 will be invited back as finalists. They include all of the finalists from Phase 1 that did not win. Their preliminary scores will be kept confidential until the process is complete. But here's the list of finalists in alphabetical order. Arizona, California, Colorado, the District of Columbia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Illinois, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and South Carolina. As you know, we have about $3.4 billion to distribute under the second round of Race to the Top, which should be enough to fund about 10 to 15 states, depending on the size of the winners. But as I've said many, many times before, this isn't just about the money. This is about working together and putting the needs of children ahead of everyone else. This entire process has moved the nation in advanced education reform. Children, particularly disadvantaged children, are the big winners here because we have all learned so much more about how to find common ground around the things that we know will make a difference in the classroom. I congratulate our governors, our chief state school officers, elected officials, superintendents, principals, teachers, and parents. They are all doing remarkable and revolutionary work, and they understand that we all need to get better, and they're showing the kind of courage needed to get that job done. Thank you. I'm now happy to take your questions.
And thank you for your address today, Secretary Duncan, and for choosing the National Press Club as the place where you would make this announcement. I know there are a lot of states that are very excited right now. A lot on your plate, and coming here was one of the many things that you're doing, advancing your education agenda this year. In a couple months, you have an education summit that's coming up. What do you think about education summits, like the ones that were held under the Bush and Clinton administrations? What is the value of such a summit, and what do you hope to accomplish at the one coming up?
I say all the time, both jokingly and seriously, that the best ideas in education are never going to come from me and never going to come from Washington. They're always going to come from great teachers and great educators, great principals, great superintendents at the local level. And the more we can share those ideas, the more we can be a conduit for best practices, the more we can get people working together, the faster we're going to improve as a country. So by bringing together smart, talented, committed folks to share ideas, to talk about what's working, what's not, I think as a country we can go to a different level. And I don't think we can have enough of those conversations. I'm not just interested in Delaware and Tennessee doing a great job. I'm interested in Delaware and Tennessee helping that next generation of Race to the Top winners do a great job. And I want the second round of winners to help the third round of winners the following year get better. We're all in this together. I think that anytime we're having these conversations, there's only upside with that.
You speak a lot of the value of civil rights and civil rights as an education issue. Some civil rights groups have called for you to change your approach to the interventions required for chronically underperforming schools. Have your thoughts about your options evolved in the course of these competition rounds for Race to the Top?
I think that the biggest challenge that we're all facing is in these very, very tough schools where students, in the case of Englewood High School in Southside Chicago, for at least 5 decades, where students didn't have a chance, is there's tremendous resistance to reform. And I think we in the civil rights community, all of us are committed to getting dramatically better results. When we talk about these dropout factories, 2,000 high schools producing 75% of our dropouts from the minority community, we have a moral obligation to do much better. And so we are being a little tough-minded here. We're challenging the country to think very differently, but also challenging the country to understand how quickly these schools and these communities can turn around. There are folks who will tell you that schools can't get better until poverty in the neighborhood goes away. I think it's absolutely the reverse. I think the only way we end cycles of poverty is by creating great, great educational systems. I have tremendous respect for Mark Morial at the Urban League and Ben Jealous at NAACP and Reverend Al Sharpton. We've had great, great conversations, working together and much better engaging parents. And Ben Jealous at the NAACP had some phenomenal ideas on that. I spoke at his conference 2 weeks ago and incorporated many of his ideas in our blueprint. I'm speaking tomorrow at the Urban League with Mark Morial, and we're going to continue to partner very, very closely to make sure every single student in this country has a chance to get a great education. That's what this is all about.
Did any state stand out in its approach to students that had more students with higher proportions of non-English speakers? How heavily did states' approach to these students weigh on your decisions?
Obviously, everyone here knows we have an increasing population around the country of English language learners. And states that won in the first round, states that are finalists in the second round are taking these challenges very, very seriously. And we have a population that's increasingly becoming majority minority. And our ability to close achievement gaps, our ability to give first-generation folks going to college the opportunity to be prepared for those kinds of chances, we can't do enough to drive that. Thelma Melendez, who runs our K-12 agenda in the Department of Education, was a former ELL student. She had teachers tell her that why college wasn't for her. Went on to do very well in college, got a PhD, was awarded as the best superintendent in the state of California before we recruited her. So whether it's the Thelmas of the world, the Don Stewarts of the world I talked about, there are lots of students who may not have been born in this country, may not have had English as a first language, have extraordinary potential, and we all have to be committed to helping them fulfill that tremendous potential.
More questions dealing with civil rights. Last year, you visited an Indian reservation. You were shocked by the poverty and made a commitment to the education of Native peoples when you said, "If we can't help those children, then I will feel as if I have failed." The National Center for Education Statistics just released scores for Indian students, and there has been little progress. What efforts are currently underway to help Indian and Native students, especially those in schools on reservations?
Yeah, that visit was one of a couple. I've had some amazing visits around the country, but that's one that I will never forget. It was Northern Cheyenne Territory in Montana.